Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abby if you're new here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the plant care that I give my variegated monsteras. And before we get into the video, I would love to invite you in to like this video if you enjoy it, or thumbs down if you don't, depending on how you feel. So if I filmed this video when I got this plant back in May, June time, it would be very different. I'd be telling you about how stressed I was with it. I would be telling you I was nervous about killing it, and that's because I really was, because I was new to the plant. I have had this obviously for quite a while now. I have since come to realise I should not be treating this plant any differently to any other plant that I have. And I say that because I know my particular plant isn't heavily variegated, like it's not predominantly white. This is I'd say 50-50. It's got a really good like balance of white in there. I've got some half moon leaves at the bottom, but all in all, it's nothing. I've been treating it just the same as everything else, like nothing special, and it's really worked wonders for me. So when I first got this, I was scared about repotting it. It came in a condition that absolutely needed a repot, and as soon as I did that, everyone was telling me you shouldn't do that because you'll kill it, and I was really working myself up about it. But the longer I had it and the more I was just treating it like any other regular plant, I noticed I was a lot less stressed, for one, and two, the plant was absolutely fine, and it has done nothing but push out new leaves for me, like month on month. Like I think I've got about 7-8 leaves out of this plant, so this is actually 2 growth points, so 2 plants in one, and it's happy. It's really happy. It's just had a thrip infestation and it's still really happy. So for watering, I really was just putting my finger in the top of the soil. If it was dry, I'd give it a water, and I'd let the water run right through and come out the drainage hole at the bottom. And mine currently sits in a really nice terracotta pot, so it is porous and it is like breathable, so the soil is able to aerate, and it isn't kind of like really heavy compacted soil, which obviously can lead to root rot and any kind of like mold. So I do just let the water run through it and come out the bottom. When it comes to lighting, this is again at the beginning, I was terrified about keeping it too close to the window because everyone was like, you'll burn the leaves. And it obviously depends on the position of your window. But my window, I've got an L-shaped window, and my window in the summer gets direct light from, I think it's like lunchtime onwards, which is quite strong light. So during those summer months when it was like peak summer, it was away from the window, but as soon as it started getting like late nights and the sun kind of like was direct when it was like late afternoon, I popped it in the window and it was fine. It was loving life. It was growing. So that all depends on your environment. So if you've got a really strong direct light, I wouldn't put it in it. You want it to be in bright indirect light, which is the stereotypical way to keep a plant, but honestly, this is the stereotypical way to look after a plant, in my opinion. And again, I want to just say, mine isn't heavily variegated, it's not predominantly white. So obviously, if you do have, the thing with variegated monsteras is if it's white, predominantly white, it does need more light to be able to photosynthesize, because those green parts are going to be working harder, but the white parts will be susceptible to sunburn. So it's a really nice little healthy balance you need to find there, which brings me back to, you're supposed to buy a plant for your environment rather than buy a plant and make it work, because it doesn't always work. So this plant has lived all over the flat since the beginning of summer last year to like winter now, and it currently lives in a really dark spot in my bedroom, because like I said, it's just recovered from thrip, so it actually lives in the darkest spot in my flat. But I have a grow light on it, so I was kindly gifted a grow light to test out, and my grow lights are light bulbs, so they're literally £2.99 light bulbs from Home Bargains. I don't have one of these fancy, well, I didn't have one of these fancy blue, red, kind of like white grow lights, specifically a grow light. So I really risked it, and I think this is when I started to just think, if it dies or if it starts browning, life happened, you know. I was less precious over it, you could say. So I did use this and test this grow light out on it whilst it was quarantining in that dark spot, and it's put out a new leaf in the proximity since it's been in that grow light area. So yeah, it all depends on your environment. I do keep saying this, but it really does. The Variegated Monstera prefer humid environments. They really do prefer it. It's not essential. So and again, it depends on where you are. I'm going to stop saying this because I obviously understand now, hear what I'm saying, but they do prefer humid environments. In the summer, I think my flat was 30% humidity or less without my humidifier. And I bought my humidifier specifically for this. However, when I got it, it didn't fit in the kind of like area where I had where this needed to be to get the best light. So I thought, I'll just see how it goes, and it was absolutely fine. But they do prefer to be in a humid spot. So if you do have a humidifier, or you've got like a pebble tray, or you can group it with other plants, although there is a risk of, if one plant has an infestation of bugs, then obviously you're opening yourself up to that risk. But if you do have a humidifier, obviously this would really appreciate it. So I really do keep it down to those 3 things. So watering it when it's dry, and I don't stress out anything else otherwise. I keep it in a really good bright indirect light, but it's had direct light at points and it's been fine. It's had direct light at quite a lot of points. And also the humidity. So I keep the humidity to like a comfortable temperature. If I can give it more, amazing. If I don't, it doesn't show signs of needing it back. So all in all, I treat this Variegated Monstera the same as I treat all my other plants. I do not give it any special requirements. But again, it all depends on your environment. It depends on how much variegation your plant's got. This plant, which I know is obviously not a Monstera, this does get a position closer to the window because obviously it needs the extra help to be able to survive because it is a hefty white plant. So that does live closer to the window. But other than that, this is in my opinion, it's a really easy plant. Monsteras in general are known to be really hardy, and I do find that this is really hardy. So when I started seeing the white parts go brown, having not had variegated monsteras before, or any variegated houseplant, I was worried. I was thinking I was doing something wrong, and it's not. It's just natural for the white parts to die because essentially what makes a plant green is the chlorophyll in the leaves, and in the white parts they don't contain chlorophyll. So in order for a plant leaf to survive, you could say, it would need to be a healthy balance of white to green. And if your plant is predominantly white, it won't be able to survive for a long time. So when you see pictures of all white leaves, they're beautiful and they're brilliant. Take a picture of them, they remember it forever, but they will eventually die. That's because the white parts of the leaf can't photosynthesize, and you obviously need that for it to survive and to be able to obviously live. So yeah, I really did start panicking about the white parts going brown, and I was thinking of something I was doing. It really wasn't. It's just expected. I mean, you can kind of see on this one, you see it's only ever slightly starting to go brown there, but it is. And I'll show you what I mean with my variegated syngonium. So this is my amazing variegated syngonium, and back in the day, having had a plant in this condition, I would have really worried myself and been a little bit unhappy, I'm not gonna lie. And you can see here, all these white parts, excuse my nails, all of these white parts are going brown. Not that one, luckily. You see here, like all of them are starting to brown off because that's just the way it is. And the bigger ones up here, where they're predominantly green, they'll be fine. That'll be absolutely fine. That's quite a nice mottled one. But all in all, the white parts of the leaves will brown off and they will die. It sounds so dramatic, and I don't mean it to be. So I thought I would answer some questions that I've had over the past couple of months with my Variegated Monstera, just in case this is helpful for you. I'll put a list or a time frame on the screen here, just so you can see the question and the answer at what point I'm answering them. So the first question I got was, should I pot my variegated monstera up when I get it? So you'll get conflicting information about this. I personally think it's okay because I did it. I did it to 2 plants. So I had 2 separate plants and I potted them both up and they were both absolutely fine. Obviously you need to bear in mind if it's being shipped to you, especially from another country or like depending on the time of year through winter or whatever, whether it's been shipped to you or you've collected it, you've put that plant through some stress. So you do want to just let it, you don't want it to stress it out too much. So I potted mine up and then I put them in a darkish point in my bedroom. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't bright in direct light because it had been in a box for 5 days. So I think it was actually 4, but it'd been in a box for a while. So I didn't want to put it from being in pure darkness to bright light and stress it out that way. So I left it in that position for a week and then I kind of moved it to a lighter spot and then kind of just like progressively put it into situ. So another question I get asked all the time is, where can I cut if I want to propagate my plant? So this is so easy to explain with this particular plant because it will literally tell you exactly where it needs cutting. So you can see these are the roots here. These dark things are the roots. You want to be cutting in the internodes, so you want to be cutting here, here, and for this part I would cut here because you can see this node here it's not as long as the rest, but it is still there. So I would cut just below the internodes. I would leave myself some room just so if you do develop like root rot or rot of the stem at the end, then you can cut that away and let it callus over again. But this is where the roots will come out of, and if they're already not there, and that's where it obviously will take its nutrients from. So you need to be cutting it in the internodes. So another question is, I keep getting asked what I fertilise my monstera with. I don't fertilise it with anything special. I know a friend that fertilises it with liquid gold and her plant is amazing. She's got a really good environment. So she's got like a glass roof and it's getting ample amounts of light and it's like a really, really healthy plant. But obviously her liquid gold has sent her plant just on wonders. Like it's been really, really great for her. I'm a tight ass and I have Baby Bio. So Baby Bio fertilizer, I use it every time I water it when I notice it's usually is through seasonal, so growing season. But if it's winter and my plant is still growing, I would still use it because it's still growing, so it still needs nutrients. So this leaf here, this was pushed out a couple of weeks ago and we're in January now, but it pushed out in December, and I wouldn't hold back on the fertilizer. I'd use a little bit more during winter, but yeah, I just use normal Baby Bio fertilizer. I paid £2 for it from Wilco's, and if you're American you can get it from Amazon, I think. But yeah, I didn't use any special fertilizer for it. So another question I got, which has only been recently, is my Variegated Monstera has got aphids. Can I use any kind of like harsh chemical on it? So I was asked this because I was obviously going through this myself. This plant had thrips. I was nervous, having not used it before. I was nervous about using Provonto, which was a really harsh chemical, on it because I thought it's just going to kill the white parts off. It's actually just going to disintegrate the plant, I have a feeling. It didn't at all. I've treated it twice with Provonto. It's been absolutely fine. They really are a lot hardier than you think they are. So yeah, I'm comfortably able to say Provonto didn't cause any problems to my plant. And I first treated it, it was a good long while ago. I think it was well over a month now. So there's been no changes in growth since I've had this. There's been no kind of like effect on it from using that on the plant. So another question that I've had, which I can't answer, but if you know the answer for these people, please write them down below, is wet sticks. So wet sticks are, I don't know, they're basically just the stem, like the internode. They're like, obviously you've got a node there, but they're the stem. So literally just the stem with no leaves. You have a better success at growing something with a leaf, but the wet stick, I've never done it with a variegated monstera. If I'm cutting up something like if I'm propagating any plant that I have like a laggy section, so like whether I've done that with a squamiferum, I've done it with an Adansonii, like all of my plants that have like just the stem and they've got nodes on them, I pop in like a glass of water and they do grow. So they have been growing. The leaves are tiny when they first come out, so they're really small, and they take a long time to produce anything. So I can't really comment on if you were to buy a wet stick and of a variegated monstera and the success rate. I would, if you really want a plant to have the best chance, then I would go for like a leaf cutting. But if you have an experience with this, put the comments down below so that people can obviously see your experience and you can help them. So another common question is what I pot my variegated monsteras in. So I didn't know if this was soil or whether this was an actual pot question, so I'll do both. They have always been in terracotta. I always find that that's best. If you want a plant to have good drainage soil, and also you don't want it to hold on to moisture as much as you would maybe another kind of like type of plant, terracotta is great because it's like porous and it breathes. And also the soil that I use is called Biomix, and I actually buy it from eBay. I bought a 50-litre bag, which was huge. I think I paid 12 to 13 pounds for it. I think it retails at like 25, 30, and I got that off eBay, and I'll see if I can find the link and pop it down below. But yeah, I just use Baby Bio light mix, and it's just got perlite in it, and it's just a really nice like potting mix where I can ensure the water's going to like run through it, and like it's going to be draining rather than kind of like hold on to any extra moisture, because you don't want that, because then it would obviously lead to root rocks. You don't want the plant to sit in a wet environment. So the best way to explain it is, and ever since I've heard this, it just made sense to me. You want the water to just like run past the roots, you know, you don't want it to be sat in water. So yeah, that is it for the questions. They were just like the most common questions. But like I said, if you have any more, just pop them down below. But yeah, I will love you and leave you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending. I really hope you did like it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next one.